So I review and repair question for
Yeah,
you.
sure, sure. So Solos, I think the videos I sent to you definitely will help in terms of the basic operation of Solos.
Okay.
But in terms of more in-depth knowledge, the Dr. Lee video is actually quite valuable. Try to go through it, try to understand. If you have any question regarding that, you can ask me, then I'll try, or we can do a discussion. At least you understand before you go to for your demo.
Okay. I will ask you on WhatsApp.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Izu.
Mm. Okay. So so trial lens is still something that refractionists or operator in Vietnam. I think there are some optometrists. There are also um, nurses that is doing the refraction. So it is quite normal for them to use trial lens. But for me personally, I've been in the industry to check eyes from hospital and also retail. It's just easier to use the automatic phoropter. I use both. I use all three of this. So I did use a manual phoropter. It's still faster than a trial lens, but you cannot downplay a trial lens as well because in certain scenario or for kids, we still need to use trial lens, especially with people who has a complication in terms of refraction. One example, if they have squint, strabismus, we have exotropic or exophoric. You still need a trial lens because they don't have equal uh, PD. The difference between right and left is too large. So sometimes you cannot use a phoropter. You need to use a trial lens. So I would encourage if let's say you are selling either the manual phoropter or the computerized phoropter, just give them the trial lens set as well. So they have both because in certain scenario, you still need a trial lens. But why do we need phoropters and computerized phoropters is just to make everything faster. It is quite easy for me personally. If let's say before I do eye test, even autoref, I would double check with the retinoscope as well. So if I'm using a retinoscope, it is quite easy for me to use phoropter compared to trial lens. Trial lens, I need to change the lens each one by one, so it takes a bit time. But if let's say phoropter, the lens are already there, so I can just change it. So it's quite easy. Okay, so just a little bit of background knowledge a bit. So why, even though we have so advanced autoref, we have advanced, we use retinoscope, we can get a very reliable result from the objective refraction, like a autoref. Why we still need to do subjective refraction? So it's not about um, you taking someone else's job. It is something that is very important when you are doing any refraction or you're giving any glasses or you're determining the prescription of a one patient. It's the you need to make sure it's the best possible prescription, and to make sure it's the best possible prescription, it needs to be in a relaxed eye. So if let's say the eye is accommodating, that means the eye is focusing when they're doing the test. And if the eye is accommodating when they check with the autoref, it will lead to wrong power. Usually it becomes overcorrected or the power is too much. When we check with the autoref, it gave -1, but when we do subjective refraction, it becomes 0. So this is the base principle of subjective refraction. Any prescription you are giving, it should be the most plus with the best possible VA. So the main principle is MP, MVA. That's what we learned in our school before. So maximum VA and maximum plus with maximum visual acuity. How to do that? Make sure that you have a relaxed accommodation. So you would surprise when I was practicing before 10 years back, a couple years back. So I did test a lot. I would say, especially Asians have a tendency of overcorrecting. We call it pseudomyopia. Pseudomyopia. So we check with the autoref, it's -2. But when we do subjective refraction, we could actually reduce the power more and more. So I encountered this very, I would say, 40% of all young early adults or children, when I check, they have a tendency of overstimulating the eye. So it's actually quite common. So that's why even though you have the most advanced autoref machines, you have like binocular autoref machine like a Grand Seiko, you still need a subjective refraction. I cannot stress more. It's impossible to get the best correction with an objective refraction. Okay. So saying that, so we have 2 vision tester. We actually have 3, but a pure vision tester is this 2, VT10 and CV5000. So the other one is Chronos. Chronos is a whole system. It's not just a vision tester, it has everything. So it's a complete set. But we just talk about this first. So VT10 and CV5000, the base phoropter is actually the same. It gives you almost the same features in terms of the lens they provide. If let's say I take out the VT10 lenses and I strip out all the digitalization of the CV5000, it's actually the same. So the main difference between these two is how integrated everything is. But the lens, if let's say we're talking about hardware, the auxiliary lens, it's almost the same thing. One is electronic, one is fully manual. You adjust directly. Okay. So if for people who haven't seen a VT10 or a manual phoropter, so this is an example, what you actually use with all these knobs there. So just for us, VT10 doesn't have any black color already, so this is an old model. But the one right now, when you order, is actually the gray gray manual phoropter. So this is just an example. This is an older model. So if you look here, so there's a lot of knob here and it can be very overwhelming. The reason why a lot of refractionist or operator becomes uncomfortable with the phoropter because they don't really know what to do with this. There's too much knobs, so they don't really know where to actually start the test. So the basis of everything is actually quite simple. So you have a big ring at the side here. So this is to test or to adjust the spherical power. And the knob here, so you can see cylinder power and axis. So that's how you adjust. And then the front here is the JCC. If you are checking the astigmatism, you need the JCC lens plus minus 0.25. I didn't mark here at the bottom. This is actually a smooth prism. If any optometrist or any refractionist that is doing refraction that want to do binocular vision of Foria, you need to know this is the prism. So you can adjust the prism from here. And then you have the auxiliary lenses. So the auxiliary lenses is a specialized lens for each different test. So certain tests need certain auxiliary lens. So you just need to remember the symbol there would have a different value. So if let's say you look at the R, this is for retinoscope. So retinoscopy, you kind of need two types. It depends on your arm. Some people prefer +2, some people prefer +1.75, some people 1.5. So this is an option. So if let's say you look at the polarized filter, it also it's not fixed. Right and left have different polarization filter axis. So if let's say you are testing using polarized lens, polarized tests like binocular balancing or fixation, fixation disparity test, you need polarizing filter. So we have a Maddox rod test as well. So there are different tests. This is more towards if you want to test for FORIA, green and red lens for green and red and green separation test. So this is like a wolf or dot if you want to see suppression, or you want to do binocular balancing with red green as well, it's possible. So it depends on the operator what kind of test they want to do. So we have the plus 0.25, 0.12. This is to reduce the denomination between refraction. So normally when we are giving classes, it's 0.25 plus minus denomination. It's either 0.25 or 0. So if let's say you want somewhere in between, you will put in the plus 0.25. So pinhole test, and then there's a plus 10 base in prism. So this is for Howell cut. So this is for for vertical Howell test using a Howell cut. 6 diopter base in prism is for vertical. Horizontal Howell cut. So you can use the 6 diopter prism base up for binocular balancing as well. So it depends on the creativity. So some people have their own tests. So you need to roughly know what they are when they are checking one eye. So the flow you need to make sure you understand first. So we have the fixed cross cylinder. So I think some of you have already become familiar with this lens because I showed this using the CV5000. So this is to check the ADD with the grid on the near chart. And lastly is the occluder. Okay, so for a manual phoropter, everything is already there. You just have to get familiar with the knobs and the special auxiliary lens. Once you get used to it, it becomes secondhand to you, and it's easy to do all the tests. Okay, so roughly that's about it about VT10. It's more towards where you want to navigate through with the VT10, and everything is manually adjusted. So most of the time when I'm using this, I would actually just stand by my left hand on the phoropter, and I can actually ask the question while checking the eye. So everything, because I already remember everywhere, because all the phoropter have similar template. It's not just TopCon, it's a bit special. This is quite similar to all manual phoropter. It's the same. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So that's the VT10. Okay. So we're gonna move to CV5000. So as I said, CV5000 is more computerized. It's more integrated. The difference between VT10 and CV5000 is only the integration, and from this integration, it makes the whole process a lot faster. A lot faster. If let's say with a phoropter, I'm using it for like 5 minutes. With the automated phoropter, I can reduce it another 1 or 2 minutes, so it becomes 3 minutes, something like that. Okay, so this is the important features and important points of a CV5000. So you can import all the tests before you start the subjective refraction. So you can get the measurement from a CL300, you can get measurement from another CV5000, you can also get a measurement from the KR800. Okay, so from here, that's one benefit you can get. You can interchange between different prescription, so it's quite powerful. Usually you want to talk about this if, let's say, you want to compare between the patient's previous glasses and the one you just recently checked. So just switch in between old glasses and the one you checked. Sometimes because the difference is just 0.25, even though we just check the power, we won't give what I checked. I will just move to the old glasses because she's been using, for example, she's been using for 5 years this glasses with this prescription. It was no problem. With a 0.25 difference of power, it can lead to becoming uncomfortable and failure to use the glasses. So sometimes even small things can lead to that. So our main pearls of refraction is don't rock the boat. If it works for 5 years, it's just a 0.25 difference. You don't give that power. Doesn't mean you are bad at checking the eye. It's just that the patient's eye are used to the glasses prescription for 5 years already. Okay. So you can also output the test directly. Depending, you can move it to a ImageNet 6, or you can move it to a EMR, depending whether they can accept XML base file. We have a couple of other output that's possible to do, ImageNet, EMR, black box, to actually get the reports. Please discuss if you have an idea. We can give you a little bit of information regarding the certain result you want from the CV. And then point number 3, CV5000 have a simultaneous cross-cylinder test. So we have two. I think I already showed you guys last time as well. So we have a TopCon cross-cylinder test. So it's a simultaneous cross-cylinder test. It's a lot easier than what the competitor have. So the competitor have, I have the picture, yes. So the competitor have a cross-cylinder similar like this, dual prism cross-cylinder test, but it doesn't have a color code. So when you don't have a color code, when you do the test, it's hard for the patient to identify whether it's on the right side or it's on the left side, or number 1 or number 2. For example, right now, you can see it's a vertically sliced. Number 1 is red. If let's say you don't have the color code, if you check, you test, now it's 90 degree, it changed to 180 degree. It will just flip between number 1 and number 2. Can you imagine how confusing for the patient? So that's why the TopCon cross cylinder have the color code. Doesn't matter whether it's 90 degrees, whether it's 180 degrees, the red will still be red, the green will still be green. You don't have to change it with the number 1 or number 2. It's quite a good comparison. So if let's say you're competing with another automated phoropter, this is 1 point you can win over. This is something unique to us. Okay. So, and then we have 5 programmable cores. I think, yes, we can actually customize according to the operator, the refractionist, or the doctor. So if let's say you have different, because each have their own sequence of tests. So it's very important for us to help the refractionist, the optometrist, or the doctor choose the program or choose the test they want to do. But one thing you need to know is the different tests, and there's variation. I already talked to a lot of optometrists, a lot of refractionists. Even though I'm saying the same test, for example, we're doing the binocular balancing test. When I ask Malaysia, they use a +1 lens to fog the lens first. So you put in both eye +1, and then you do balancing right and left. But when I ask different country, when I ask Singapore, when I ask Vietnam, they still do the same test, but there's a variation to it. So you guys need to just really understand the base test. But when you speak to different optometrists or refractionists or doctor, they have variation to the test as well. So that's how you plan out the test. Later I'll show you what's the basic refraction test that that I think in general a lot of optometrists would do. It's a bit more comprehensive. Some would simplify it more, but for me, this is the test that is ideal if you can do it. A lot of refractionists would just stop here until the both eye test. So the one below this is binocular vision. So binocular vision have more tests. So you don't need to put this test in. This is quite specialized, I would say. So you just ask the refractionist, the doctor, or the optometrist, do they need the test here? But the basis of the test is, you can see up here, usually right eye, they would start with red, green, or duochrome test. Once this is done, they will go to JCC. Once this is done, JCC is for astigmatism. And then they will go back to duochrome or +1 test. Usually it's either duochrome test or +1 test. It's either those two. And then they will finalize the VA, and then they will go to the other eye. Once both of this is finished, using the same sequence, then they will go to both eye binocular balancing test and binocular endpoint or binocular VA. So this is the basis of all subjective refraction, these 3 rows. So try to remember this. There's a variation, as I said, red, green, or duochrome can be a +1 test as well. So this is the test that usually you will encounter a lot. So you don't really need to know the very unique test like this. I don't have, sorry, the binocular vision test is a bit more specific. If you encounter optometrist that is interested in binocular vision test, you can always ask a call for us to discuss what kind of test they want to do. Okay. So for now, why I talk about the sequence, because you need to remember the sequence first as a basis of programs. Once you remember these 3 rows, it's easy for you to program the courses for your clients. So why programmable course is important? Because it will make the operator, the doctor, or the optometrist's life a whole lot easier. So the main primary benefit you get from CV5000 is to make their life easier, to make it faster. If it's not making it easier for them, then there's no point in getting automated phoropter. Just make sure you give this point across. This is the most important point. Why you want to sell CV5000? Because you want to make their life easier, make it more faster, integrated. Just one click, you can get the whole power. With one click, you can go through your sequences. It makes everything easier. Okay. So very important point you want to stress to your clients, or you have to make sure it's easy for them as well. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop there for now. Do you guys have any questions? I don't want to be too fast for you guys.
Hi, Izu. This is the standard flow or your recommendation?
This is the basis of all the optometrists or all refractionists tests. So when you encounter more experience, so this is basically textbooks. This is from a textbook. This is the basis of refraction. But when you encounter more senior refractionists, doctors, or optometrists, they would do adjustments to this test. They will not follow 100%. They will skip certain tests or they will add certain tests. But the basis of the test would be this 3-row. Okay? It will not go far from these 3 rows. It's not what I recommend, okay? This is from textbook. Okay? Everything clear? Okay.
Yes, we clear. This is high-tech team. This is on of the staff from the telecom machines, but depend on the process in the hospital or depend on doctor request. We just use the some or many steps from here. That's
Yes,
not
yes.
the recommend. Not recommend from us or from the other, just depend on the doctor request.
Correct. So, yes, you are correct as well. Some doctor would request certain sequence. So you have 2 choices. Either if let's say the doctor leave everything to the operator, to the optometrist, you just check yourself, I just want the result. Then you ask the refractionist or operator. But if let's say the doctor fix certain tasks for the refraction, you follow the doctor's request. So it's not like fixed, but this is the basis of everything. You just need to know the tasks that involve from this 3-row. So at least you're not lost. Or what are you talking about? What tests? What sequence you want to go next and next? So this is just for you guys to know that this is the basic. It should be based on this. But if let's say the doctor requests certain other tests or skip certain step, it's fine. But it shouldn't be too much different from what I gave here. Is that okay, doctor? Okay. So this is all the test variation that you can find. So if you notice, there's a lot of visual acuity chart as well. There's numbers, alphabet, picture, E, C chart. So all this can varies a lot depending on operator as well. In Vietnam, they use decimal VA, right?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. You use decibel. So you have to be careful, especially when you want to recommend a CV5000, because you have to look at the chart first. If you give the wrong chart, basically they need to change to a different chart later on in the future that will give a lot of issues. So just determine the chart would be number 1 for you guys if you want to recommend CV5000. Okay. So What does this means? It's just the task category. So if let's say I go back to this flow, all this have a category name. So Dochrome, we call it MV, MP, MVA. So you have two tests, two type of tests, duochrome test and also +1 test. So this relate to the sequence I gave you just now. So the variation it can change to. So duochrome test can change to +1 test. Cross cylinder, you have this 4 cross cylinder tests. It's possible. There's one more, the fan chart you can use as well. There's more than this, but I cannot give everything because there's a lot. But this is the basic of it. Usually people would just use JCC, Jackson Cross Cylinder. But I would encourage, if let's say you have a CV5000, just go for Topcon Cross Cylinder. And then binocular vision test, we have rack crane balancing, we have 0.75 balancing, we have polarizing balancing, we have prism balancing as well. So this is type of binocular vision test. Von Graf, Maddox rod, this is all for Foria. You can use it for, mostly it's for Foria only, not for strabismus. So if let's say convergence divergence, this is fusional divergence test. So it links together with the Fourier test. So this is more towards binocular vision, how the eyes works together. So NRA, PRA is relative accommodation measurement. So this is to check the relation or the relationship between accommodation and convergence. And then near test, ADD test, which is the fuse cross cylinder. We have near AA test, we have the near VA test and AA accommodation test. So all of this, it's possible to use with the CV5000. All of this tests is possible to do. Okay. Okay, this is just a summary of what I said before. If let's say you want to promote CV5000, just talk about Topcon cross cylinder. The lens is fast charging as well. It saves space, especially when you combine it with the MC5S. And then it can go accurate visual acuity scoring. So if let's say you have VA66 or 2020, you want to reduce one VA score, you can. It's possible to do with the CV5000 as well to make it more accurate. Connectivity as well, it's possible to connect the CV5000 with 4 types of chart, with the KR, autoref, with the another CV5000, with the PC, external PC as well. There's a lot of variation. You can do the CV5000 remotely, you can do it self-refraction. So there's a lot of variation of the CV5000. If let's say, I think in Thailand, they're doing a lot of remote refraction. So they just employ one refractionist or optometrist that covers like 5 different refraction sites. So they are doing it remotely. So there are a lot of, you can actually do that with the CV5000 as well. But if you're interested, let us know. We'll try to discuss which is the best setting for remote. And then, as I said, personalized refraction program, 5 different programs you can set. So when you set the program, it's as easy as one button to go next, to go through the sequence. Press one button, next sequence. Press another one more button, it becomes the next sequence. So it becomes very easy. You don't have to search through all the KB5000 or all the buttons. It's just as simple as using 4 buttons. You can complete the whole task. And then Sight Navi, Pilot Navi is a self-refraction program. So this, we just launched this, I think last year, late last year. So it's possible to do self-refraction. If let's say you are looking at a remote area, do not have a lot of professional that can do refraction, you can do self-refraction. It's right now there's no Vietnamese, but if let's say there's more demand, we can actually try and request Japan to do the translation. So the only thing that I have to highlight, if you guys are interested in SitePilot Navi, it needs to be matched with a MC5 chart only. All the other chart cannot do self-refraction. But if you want to do remote, it's possible to do with any chart, but maybe the CV5000 code would be different. So if you remember, let me just go back. So this is all the code of the CV5000. So it can be overwhelming. So just the phoropter head, there's 3 code. Sorry, there's 6 code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's still possible to order the gray finish phoropter, which is this code over here. But we recommend using the new code, which is a white color one. It's a pure white finish. So it's that one. That's a new CV5000. Okay. So as you can see here, there's 3 phoropter head and the code doesn't match all the chart. So you have to be careful as well. If you're not sure, do contact the SEM SEM team, or you can contact us as well. We can try and make sure the order you are thinking of is correct. So you can see here, even though CC100XP have its own phoropter head, this is quite special. So this code 04, you only use it with the CC100XP chart. You cannot use it with anything else. Okay. And one more CV5000 power supply with the PC. This is not white color. This is still gray, even though it's a new code. So all new code have a -0. Okay, don't be too confused. You can always ask us whether you want the new color or the old color. But the new color works best with all the chart. So the problem with the old code, there's certain code that doesn't match 100% with certain chart. So you have to make sure the code you order matches the chart. Okay, so I just want to stress that product configuration, when you order, make sure it's correct. Okay, moving on. Last is the phoropter head design. This is one more that we want to stress in terms of want to compare with competitors. Our phoropter head is one of the most slimmest and smallest phoropter head. Why is it important? So the last point here. So when you have a small form factor, that means we can still see the face of the patient. We can see whether they have an odd posture, they have a tilted chin, they have tilted head. So whether that, because if they have odd postures, it's gonna affect their final prescription. So a lot of new phoropters now, it's basically covering the whole face. So you cannot see a reaction, you cannot see whether they have like a scowl, yes. Whether the eyes is squinting or not, they cannot, it's very hard to see with a bulky phoropter head. So our phoropter head is one of the slimmest and thinnest phoropter head available in the market. So it's a very good point to say as well. Okay, so that's this is SitePilot Navi introduction. So the newest version is 3.04. It's possible, but for now it doesn't have Vietnamese. But yes, let us know if it's possible to sell and the market are ready for a self-refraction. So it is possible for us to develop for Vietnam. Okay. So the only thing that you need for self-refraction is another add-on. Sorry, I have to go back to the product configuration. So if you look at this is the Pilot Navi add-on. So once you have this, automatically when your firmware is outdated, you can get the self-refraction features. So you just need this and a speaker. So those two. Yeah. So when you have both of them and your CV is on the latest version, it's possible to use self-refraction already. Okay. So you can see here, once the option is there, you click hold on the KB50. There's a site Pilot Navi. Easy as that. It's quite straightforward. The only thing, if let's say you want to use a site nav or self-refraction, make sure it's connected to the KR 800 or the CL300 so you can import data outside, so it make it a lot faster. Okay. So next is just a comparison chart in terms of specification. So you have a CV5000 and VT10. So more or less it's the same. If on paper, there's not a lot of difference. We win a little bit, some, we lose a little bit, some as well. But more or less, you can see it's quite similar. But VT usually is lesser because it doesn't use a smooth flange inside. Okay. So that's just a specification for if let's say you want to compare with other competitors. Okay. So I finished for CV5000. We're going to go to charts, but before that, do you guys okay? You want to continue? You want to take a couple of minutes of breathing time, or you want to ask questions?
I hand over WhatsApp.
Oh, sorry, yes. No question?
Yeah.
Should I continue?
No question, yes.
Okay. Okay, we're going to just continue in terms of chat. I'm going to, because we are almost time already, I'm going to go through a little bit faster. Okay, we have basically 4 charts available: CC100, PC50, ACP8, and MC5. As I said before you want to sell a CV5000 or VT10, make sure you have in mind what kind of chart you want to give first. Because the chart determines the test you are using, what kind of test is available. Is it decimal or is it feet 2020 or 6/6? So you have to be careful a little bit. And also it determines the size of the chart, the refraction area or the dark room. Okay. So ACP8, quite versatile, masking, it's a projected chart. So everything is built in, no possibility of improvement or anything like that. But a lot of hospitals and doctors prefer this, especially they want a VA. They just want a chart for VA measurement. They prefer using an ACP8 because it's most probably the contrast is fixed. You can't really change because of the lighting and illumination. Okay. So this is the specification for the chart. So try to look at the projected distance, 3 meters to roughly 3 meters to 6 meters. So we don't really sell the model ACP8R. We only sell the ACP8EN. So just be careful when you order. Okay, this is a type of chart that is available, A, B, and F type. So for Vietnam, most probably you're gonna get the F chart, right? Yeah, not non-alphabet. It's a concentric C, Snellen E, and numbers, and numeral as well, decimal as well. So most probably you're gonna order F chart for Vietnam. So there's a code for the SKU as well. Okay, next is MC5. So the main reason why you want MC5, if let's say you have very small refraction area, because MC means it's a mirror chart, so it's a reflected chart inside the box there. So that's why you can save the distance. So it still use a LCD inside it, but there's a multiple mirror system inside that makes the distance 6 meters. Okay, so if you notice that we split to two subcategory of MC5, we have MC5 and MC5S. So the main difference between these two, MC5 is standalone. So the chart is actually inside the MC5. While MC5S, the chart is dependent on the CV5000. Yes. So if let's say you want to buy standalone, make sure it's an MC5. If let's say you just want to work, you want this chart to work with the CV5000, you can actually use both MC5 or MC5S. It's just easier to use MC5S because it's connected through HDMI. MC5, you need to connect through serial cable. Okay, so the chart available for MC5, F-type, and F-ISO. Okay, everything is there. PC50, I think Vietnam have a lot of PC50 order before. So most probably you're familiar with it, but I just want to let you know PC50 have three types, three models, PC50, PC50S, 50SB. So according to that, you can see the difference. I have a comparison chart at the end, so you don't really have to remember everything. So PC50 standalone, S with a CV, SB with a CV and circular polarization. That's the main difference. So it's a LED. So this is all the chart available, A, F, B, H1. Okay, so that's the code for PC50 S and 50, and there's another SB, sorry. And the last one, I think Vietnam is moving towards CC100 as well. We do encourage you guys to use CC100. Why CC100? It's very complete. So let me show this. So you don't need to worry about chart type. Is it is it decimal? Is it VA66 or 2020? Is it have a kids chart? Does it have an ETDRS? Most VA range is there, and most test is there as well. So it's the easiest no-brainer chart. The only downside, I would say, is how to connect this chart with the CV5000. You need a double USB serial connection. So one USB serial from the chart, one USB serial from the CV5000. So you need to use a serial cable to connect these two. But because it's quite complete, you have less problem in the future moving on. And if let's say you want to sell it as a standalone, the set is complete with the remote. You don't have to add on the remote on the chart. So a lot of the chart before that I show you just now doesn't have a remote control packed together. You have to buy it separately. So be careful. But this chart, it comes with the remote control. It has the circular filter as well for CC100 XP. So the main difference between CC100 XP and CC100, CC100 doesn't have polarized. CC100 XP use circular polarization. So it's a polarization chart, slightly different using a circular type. So the main difference between the two, linear, there's two types, linear polarization, circular polarization. So basically linear polarization is what we use in ECP8. So it depends on the orientation of the polarization. Circular polarization doesn't depend on any axis of polarization because it moves in circular motion. So basically the main benefit you get from circular polarization is when you put this on, when you do the test, it will not be affected when you tilt your head or there's movement when you are testing the eye. So that's the main benefit. Linear polarization, if the eye is slightly tilted or move, or you are looking at through an angle, there will be glare. Circular polarization doesn't have a glare. One example for you guys to easy to understand, linear polarization is like your sunglass, polarized sunglass. So sometimes when you look at certain angle, it becomes glary. So it's like that. Circular polarization is your 3D glasses inside cinema. So it doesn't matter whether you can move right or left, it will not have the glare in. Yeah. Okay, this is the chart comparison. So most of the time you see first the installation distance or the room size. So when you choose this, then you know which one you're going to stick first. And then you look at the chart. Make sure the chart you want is the same or what Vietnamese refractionist doctors or optometrists want. Make sure they are content with the chart. So that's why CC100 is the best. No brainer, it has everything. And then the main features that compare between all these four charts is, as you see there, separation test, the linear polarization, MC5 linear, MC5S is circular. So this is why certain CV needs a certain code for certain chart because of the polarization. So I just listed out for you guys. So don't get confused by this. Just follow this product configuration. Say this one. Just follow this one. So I already said it for you guys. But if let's say the reason why, then you know it's because of the polarization issue. That's why you need different product head. Okay. So benefits. It's a projected chart. Contrast is fixed. It's quite straightforward. So it's reliable as well. So a lot of doctors and hospital like ACP8. MC5, if you want to save space and you want to do self-refraction, try to recommend MC5. PC50 and CC100 is actually similar, but if you want a more complete chart and better, I think stock, PC50 have a stock problem as well. So sometimes when you order, you cannot get it immediately. So try to switch to CC100. Okay. So that's for chart. I think I want to stop for today. We don't want to drag too much as well. Are you guys okay? Everything's okay? This is just refraction, guys. If let's say OCT and biometer would be more technical. We need more time, I think. So for now, everything is okay? Am I going too fast?
Sao mọi người thấy được không? Có câu hỏi gì không?
Okay.
Có
If
muốn
you
học
want
tiếp
to
Okay.
ask
qua cái phần
anything,
khác
please
hay là
ask.
mình
If I'm going too fast or anyone that is lost right now. Okay. Loy, are you okay? This training is for you guys, Loy and Tien.
Yeah, I'm okay. But
Okay.
I think
I'm okay.
I have some question, but I give you later.
Okay. Sure. Just formulate your question first, and then you can always ask me through WhatsApp as well, or maybe in the team chat, meeting chat right here. If you want to discuss, no problem. Okay. So if everyone is okay, I think we can finish the session for today. We have next week as well, so we'll just continue from what we have. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay.
For the team refresh and understand more information today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, doctor. So it's more a bit of a refresher as well for Tien and Loy. Sorry, for Tien and Loy, this is for you guys, but for the others, it's more towards a refresher and just absorb additional information. So if let's say you don't know before, you could just take the information later. But we do encourage if you guys have any questions, just put it inside the group. We can do a discussion, but later on we're gonna go through diagnostic and also the surgical part. So I think more discussion is valuable. Refraction is more, it's a bit confusing in terms of the product configuration only. Beside that, it's quite straightforward. But later on, when we go into diagnostic and surgical, please, if you have any question, you can put it inside the chat. We can discuss together. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Wisu.
So thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone. I'm just gonna close the session for today. Okay. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye bye. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
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 Thank you, Isu.
Bye. Okay, bye.
Hello. Sorry, lambat. Yalah, tadi ada orang kacau je. Oh, yalah.